Hi everyone, it's John here from the Corporate Breakout Couple. Today's video is a continuation of Cost of Living in Singapore Part 2. If you remember, in Part 1, I covered on basic needs. In today's video, I'm covering on wants, which are your non-essentials. And what you're going to witness are real prices on the ground, which my wife, friend, and I have gone to great lengths to find for you. So you're looking at categories like food, groceries, entertainment, electronics, shopping. We're going to cover them all for you. Plus, towards the end, we are going to compile into two budgets for you in two personas, the budget-sensitive person and the average consumer, so that you have a realistic representation of the average Singaporeans in Singapore. And I have a little surprise for you towards the end as well. So do stay tuned because you will then find out why Singapore is so expensive. But before that, let me share a little background about myself and friend, my wife. Both of us retired at the age of 40 years old in 2020 in Singapore. We also moved to Penang as well, so both countries which we straddle between are our homes of retirement. And it is our wish and intention to share with you the different perspective of the various costs out there in the different countries that we stay in and travel to. And I'll greatly appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hop on to the ride. And as always, I'm going to give you various categories of wants. All prices will be quoted in Sing dollars. Are you ready? Let's jump in!
Paris Baguette is a very popular bakery chain in Singapore where they serve excellent coffee and excellent pastries. You can have a very filling meal here, and a sandwich together with a coffee will cost you around $15. The cafe scene in Singapore is really extremely popular, and behind me is one of my favorite cafes, Neptune Cafe. The price point for this is around $35 to $40 per pax for either a brunch or a lunch menu. If you are looking for a cool place to chill with excellent food and drinks, then PS Cafe is a place to be. Your budget is around $30 to $50 per person. If you're in the mood for cheeseburgers, this is the place to be. The name says it all, nothing but cheeseburgers. You have a great selection of burgers and your budget will be around $20 to $25 including a drink. Welcome to Violet Un, and it's very popular for its Nyonya cuisine. Its high tea set is very affordable. It's at 59++, and it serves two. TWG is very popular for selling their range of teas, and people like to come here for high tea as well. The Parisian tea set, which serves two, is at $88.
Chatterase is one of the popular Japanese bakeries in Singapore. They have a huge selection of cakes. One of our favorite is the legendary fresh cream cake. It costs $5.10.
Welcome to Birds of Paradise, a very excellent homegrown Singapore gelato brand. It's so good. So why are they so popular? It's because they incorporate different types of herbs and natural ingredients into their ice cream. And their cone is made out of thyme and it's so fragrant. A single cone is at $6.80.
CS Fresh or Cold Storage is an upmarket supermarket that's typically located in a shopping mall. And cherries from Australia, one box costs you 13 Sing dollars on offer. So blueberries are readily available in Singapore supermarkets. The cost is around $4.10. So what's the cost of avocados in Singapore? The unit price is $3.70. Say cheese. What's the cost of brie? For 192 grams, $12.53. What's the cost of smoked sausages from Johnsonville with cheddar? 11 Sing dollars. So over here you have different variations of oat milk and almond milk, whether with banana or with avocado, and the cost ranges between 7 to 8.50 Sing dollars. How much does a box of Ferrero Rocher cost? Well, it's on offer, so it's $13.50. A tin of Kelson's butter cookies will cost you $11.95.
Let's talk cars. Do you know a Honda Civic in Singapore costs $170,000? And half of that, actually more than half of that, $90,000 belongs to the Certificate of Entitlement. It's called a COE and it only lasts for 10 years. The COE is a certificate that entitles you to own a car for just 10 years. And yet, there are so many cars on the road.
Why are cars in Singapore so expensive? Well, because Singapore is a small island, it has always been the government's prerogative to keep the supply of cars on the road limited. Therefore, based on a bidding system, the government controls the number of COEs they release every month. And as Singaporeans become more affluent, the bid for the COE gets higher and higher year on year. I still remember when I bought my first car 15 years ago in 2008, my COE was around 8 over 1,000. So the price range for COE then was around 8, 10, 15,000. And in today's times, we're looking at 90,000, 100,000, even 110 to 120,000. So we're looking at 5 to 10 times more expensive than 15 years ago. This is onemotoring.sg, owned by the Land Transport Authority of Singapore, where they release the bids for the COE. Every month there will be 2 biddings. So for the results for the first bidding in March, you can see in the table based on the quota and the relevant prices in each category. So in each category, they'll tell you how many bids they receive, which are successful, unsuccessful, and unused. Take a look at the prices in the different website SG CarMart. You can see the various prices in each category. For example, Cat A, which is up to 1,600cc, you can look at the price, which is at $88,000 just for 10 years of use of a car in this category. And you can see Cat B being a higher capacity, it's higher. Cat C is for goods and vehicles and buses, and Cat E is an open category, which is the highest. Let's take a look at the example of buying a car in Singapore. This is the Honda Singapore website where you can see all the various models and the prices for Honda cars. You have Honda Accord, you have Honda City, and then you have other models like Honda Civic, Honda CR-V. So the example that I'm going to pick for you is a Honda City, which is a SV standard version 1.5 litre, which I'm going to use for you shortly. I'm going to show you some associated costs with owning a car in Singapore, starting with the road tax. So for Honda City, which is 1.5 litre, you're looking at 686 Sing dollars per 12 months. For petrol, note that the prices have been fluctuating due to the energy crisis caused by the Russian-Ukraine war. So for a snapshot of all the petrol companies across, for grade 95, you're looking roughly around $2.80 per litre. Note that Singaporeans love to use credit cards to offset some discount of their petrol prices. Back to the Honda Singapore website, where we're going to simulate the price of buying a brand new car. So the model we're going to use is Honda City, and as mentioned earlier, the SV version 1.5 litres. The total loan we're going to take is going to be 7 years, and what's the loan amount? It will be 70% of the 143,999. What's the interest rates? Let's take a look at the prices of recent interest rates. So you have DBS offering you at 2.28%, you have Hong Leong 2.28%, Maybank 2.28%. Let's key in the 2.28% into the loan calculator, and what would the amount be? It will be 1,387 Sing dollars per month for your monthly installment for 7 years for Honda City. Let's talk about one of my favorite topics, properties. Well, in Singapore, property prices has escalated to crazy levels. In the last year or so, even the public housing HDB has been sold for $1.4 million. Imagine that. In my previous video for Cost of Living in Singapore Part 1, I covered on public housing HDBs. In this video, as I'm covering on ones, I'm going to talk about private properties. If your HDB flats are hitting more than $1 million, imagine what your private properties like your condominiums and your landed housing will cost. The purchase of public housing HDB flats, they are mostly available for Singaporeans and permanent residents. So for private properties, because only foreigners can only buy private properties, and also a lot of foreign investors, that's why the private property prices gone up so much. Let's take a look at some newly launched projects. This particular one that is priced at 1.2 million, a private condo that has 2 bedrooms, is at 614 square feet. Now note that in the last 8 to 10 years, developers have been making smaller and smaller units. So you do need to take note that the price that you want to measure is based on the per square foot, 1,954. So this area is not bad, it's slightly outside central region. And it is a leasehold, so 99 years, and just newly launched in January 2023. Here's another new launch project at Serangoon, which is a semi-central area of Singapore. This 2-bedroom apartment is priced at 1.16 million at 635 square feet, which is priced at 1,826 per square foot, which is slightly lower than the earlier one. So for this project, it is also leasehold. The turnover is later. In Singapore terms, we call it TOP, Temporary Occupancy Permit. So it's December 2024 when you collect your keys, and it's a ground floor unit, that's why it's lower priced. Now let's take a look at the secondary market, otherwise known as the resale market. In Singapore, this is a huge segment for properties for both buyers and sellers. Right now, if you compare the price point between new launches and resale market, for resale market, usually for the same price, you can get a much bigger unit, which means the PSF is lower. The selection I picked out for you are priced between 1.1 to 1.2 million, all around the same size, around 700 to 800 square feet. Like this one, 2 bedrooms at 1.199 million at 785 square feet. Notice that this one is a freehold for middle floor, and the PSF is at 1,527, and this was TOP in December 2017. And here's another resale unit, which is located at Breakout, a very good location, priced at 1.22 million with 2 bedrooms, and notice there's 2 bathrooms for this one, slightly bigger at 883 square feet. So this one is actually a penthouse, which TOP in December 2015, slightly older than the earlier one. It's also freehold, and this will be the example that I'll be using to simulate my pricing later on. This is iCompare Loan, which is a very popular site for comparing the different property loans for up-to-date interest across the various banks. You can see that the interest rates currently lies between 3.6, 3.8 to even 4 to 4.5% per annum right now. Let's work out the math for the property I selected for you earlier on, priced at $1.22 million. So if you're looking at the 75% loan at 3.8% interest, 30 years tenure, you're looking at a mortgage loan of $4,264 per month. Let's find out what's the cost of buying a private property in Singapore. So the assumptions are this property is in the outside central region in Breakout. It's a private condominium, and you're looking at one half of a couple staying. This is based on a 75% mortgage loan, 3.8% per annum interest, and a 30 years tenure. So the price of the condo, as shown you earlier, is 1.22 million. The mortgage loan works out to be about 4,264. The property tax, which is about 4% of the annual value, works out to be 140 per month, and the total monthly amount is $2,202 for one half of a couple. And the cost breakdown for the private property is as follows. Mortgage loan for one half of a couple is 2,132 Sing dollars. Property tax is 70 Sing dollars. Household utilities is 100. Condo maintenance is estimated around 200. Internet for one half of a couple is around 25, and the personal handphone, which I'm putting in here as well, is 50 Sing dollars. So the total in Sing dollars is 2,577 per month. Whether you rent or you buy a private property in Singapore, it is clearly a want because of the astronomical prices. Therefore, most Singaporeans or permanent residents stays in HDBs. Watching movies over the weekends is a favorite pastime of Singaporeans. The price for a weekend standard is $14.50. In Singapore, there are all sorts of entertainment. Bowling is one of them. So on weekends, it costs 13 Sing dollars per game per pax, plus shoes and socks, that will be another 6 Sing dollars. So what's the cost of electronics like in Singapore? Let's find out. An Apple 14 will cost you $1,311. A Samsung Galaxy S23 for 128 gig will cost you 1,188 Sing dollars.
We're currently in Mango in Singapore, and check it out, the exact same shirt in Singapore now it costs 49.90 Singapore dollars. This can be a nice work blouse or even on the weekends, and it is at 55.90. So this dress is pretty casual. You can wear it to casual Fridays to work, or on weekends it's at 89.90 Singapore dollars. So Charles & Keith is a very popular brand for selling shoes and handbags. Let's check out the prices in Singapore. A pair of nice pumps in Charles & Keith will cost you 56.90. And this cute little bag will cost you 75.90 Singapore dollars. Come with me to check out some sports shoe prices in Singapore. is the Nike Free Run, and it is at 135 Sing dollars. Nowadays, Onitsuka Tiger is a very popular casual footwear brand. Let's go see. We are now in Jewel. Let's go and see how much the prices are. Let's check out this new arrival model, and it costs Sing dollars 170.
This is one of the most premium gym in town. The monthly membership costs roughly between 145 to 205 Sing dollars per month. Shopping. Somehow shopping in malls seems to be a thing of the past, especially after the pandemic. Everybody seems to be jumping onto online shopping these days. Look at what Shopee offers, a very popular online retailer in Singapore. The various categories, flash deals and promotions that they are having, no wonder Singaporeans are addicted and hooked to online shopping. Lazada is also another culprit. It's a homegrown brand that is now owned by Alibaba. So you know, Alibaba Taobao is one of the most popular online platforms in the world. So no wonder Lazada, together with them, the kind of offerings that they offer is just crazy. It's so addictive. And you can only imagine the number of transactions and the amount of volume that these online retailers do is just crazy, astronomical, the kind of money that's spent over here. Another big ticket item that Singaporeans love to spend on, including myself, is travel. Because of the strong purchasing power of Singaporeans, it's quite easy for us to travel around the world. Using Expedia, which is a very popular online travel agency, we are booking for 5 days and 4 nights to Bangkok for 1 room and 2 travelers. Now the area that I've chosen is very popular among Singaporeans, a shopping district in Pratunam. And the price point for per traveller for flight accommodation ranges between $300 to $600 for 4 to 5 star hotels around Pratunam. And the one that I've chosen for you is Pullman Bangkok King Power, which is a 5-star hotel that costs at around 480. So you can see the final price for 2 people for flight accommodation is 985 Sing dollars and roughly works out to be about $500 per person. Singaporeans just love to travel. Whether you travel 2 times, 4 times or 10 times a year, one of the popular destinations is Seoul. So using Expedia again, we are looking at a 6 days and 5 nights for 1 room and 2 travelers. Seoul, which is the capital of Korea, has many places which you can stay. And based on the price range that I've chosen, it ranges between 700 to 1,005 for 6 days and 5 nights. And the area and the hotel that I've chosen for you is Solaria, which is in Myeongdong. So putting everything together, the total price for 6 days and 5 nights for 2 people is 1,838 Sing dollars. That works out to be roughly around 920 Sing dollars per person. Welcome back to the budget building segment, where I will break down the costs for the budget conscious person and the average consumer. So these were the numbers presented previously in Cost of Living in Singapore Part 1, where I showed you the 2 different personas and the associated costs for their basic needs only. So for the budget sensitive person, it works out to be around 2,052 Sing dollars per month for their basic needs, and for the average consumer is closer to 3,000, around 2,978 Sing dollars. Based on the research that Fran and I did on the ground for you, here's a compilation of the different costs under the wants category. For food, these are the associated costs for the different food, snacks, and ice cream. For groceries, you're looking at different fresh produce, cheese, some snacks, some butter cookies, and chocolates. For entertainment, you're looking at bowling and movies, electronics, the cost of the latest phone for iPhone and Samsung, gym membership, and then we have the different clothes, the different shoes, bags, and associated shopping. So here's a snapshot of all the costs. Nowadays, it's really easy to spend money. I'm putting in wants only with a side-by-side comparison for the 2 different personas. So for the budget-sensitive person, the additional expenses that I'm simulating for food, snacks, 200 Sing dollars, additional groceries per month, 50 Sing dollars, entertainment like bowling, like movies, 100 Sing dollars, shopping, whether you're in the malls or online, 150 Sing dollars, and others, 150 Sing dollars. Now, Singaporeans love to travel, and because of the purchasing power of of Singaporeans, we are very thankful that we can make a lot of trips, especially to neighboring countries like Southeast Asia. So an estimated cost for the 2 trips for this budget sensitive person is around 1,500 per trip. So 3,000 for the 2 trips divided by 12 for every month is 250. So this works out to be a total of additional 900 Sing dollars for this budget sensitive person. For the average consumer, the additional cost of course will be higher. Food, snacks 300 Sing dollars, additional groceries 100 Sing dollars, entertainment 200 more, shopping whether online or in the malls 200, others another 150, and for travels, this person travels more, 2 Southeast Asia trips and 1 to North Asia or Australia, New Zealand. Like for example, North Asia will be like Taiwan, China, even like Korea, and spending more of course. So I'm catering $6,000 per year, which is 500 per month, and that adds a total of 1,450 Sing dollars per month for the average consumer. Let's compile the grand total for each persona. So for basic needs plus wants together, for the budget sensitive person, 2,052 for basic needs, wants 900, that works out to be a total of 2,952 Sing dollars per month. For the average consumer, basic needs 2,978, for wants 1,450, and the total amount for the average consumer works out to be 4,428 Sing dollars per month. Now, I'd like to throw you a curveball, and I'd like to show you why Singapore is one of the most expensive cities in the world. So for this average consumer, I'm going to tweak this person's basic needs. As shown you previously in the previous part 1 video, it works out to be 2,978. This person rides an MRT and bus and takes some Grab occasionally, and he owns a public housing HDB. So what if I change the transport and accommodation to owning a private car and owning a private condo? You can see that the revamped total expense will look tremendously different. This works out to be 6,560 per month, and remember, I have not catered in, while the former needs is now called 6,560, and catering the additional ones, as I shown you earlier, 1,450, this works out to be 8,010 Sing dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, this is actually not uncommon in Singapore. On a serious note, $8,000 for somebody who owns a private property and a private car in Singapore is actually not crazy and over the top. In fact, a lot of middle to upper middle income Singaporeans holds this kind of budget. And if you've noticed, I have not even touched on certain things like having kids, like having a helper in a family, which is very common for a family with 2 to 3 kids. So plus car, plus the private property and everything thrown in, you can only imagine how high the budget would look like. Do you know what's crazy? Based on my personal experience for the last 5 to 10 years, I'm seeing more and more cars on the road, cars like BMWs, Mercedes, other Continental cars. I'm looking at property prices that continues to shoot through the roof and people are still buying. No wonder with this kind of exorbitant prices, Singapore is one of the most expensive cities in the world, especially for property and cars. And yes, Singapore has done a great job to be affluent and have strong purchasing power, such that Singaporeans can continue to spend more money on material wants and all these things that actually brings up the economy. But the question is, some of this money that's channeled towards all these wants, such as your cars, do you really need a car? Do you really need an expensive private property? Or do you need to go on so many expensive holidays? Some of this money, if they can be channeled to good use and made to work for you, towards, for example, paying off some of your debts, towards, for example, an early retirement, would that not be a better option? Short-term pain, long-term gain, delayed gratification. Perhaps that is a way that many of us can consider. We hope this cost of living video in Singapore has given you a good perspective on what is it like in Singapore. If this video is of good value to you, do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate the love.